Alright, so back to this bit of a different kind of video again. I'm just going to go right into it in the event that other people not familiar with my channel are watching. But again, as you can tell by the title, why Epitaph is the greatest stand ability, right? Or something along those lines. I'm going to explain why, right? So, and I hinted or talked about this in an older video about 7-8 months ago, time stop versus time erasure, right, and how they would interact. This is kind of, I guess you view it as supplementary to that, or sort of background context. But again, let's just get into it. So, Epitaph, right? In case you don't know, it is the substand ability of King Crimson, right, where it allows the user to see 10 seconds into the future. Now, although it doesn't really seem like much, right, and even though it can't really be utilized to its full potential with an ability other than time erasure, right, or any sort of time interacting ability, right, maybe like, let's say, time stop. Arguably, even that wouldn't work, but time erasure definitively, right? That's why it's paired with it. Again, why this is so powerful is due to, in this two-part video, is the inherent weakness of stand users and stands, right, compared to, let's say, other means of power and ability in Jojo. So, and that weakness comes from and due to the fact that the vast majority of stand users are human, right? Obviously, there are outline examples in kind of power-ups and amps that change things, but for, again, and just the nature of kind of, I guess, humans in JoJo versus humans in real life, right? But it is something where at the end of the day, most of them are still just human, right? So what it comes down to is the stand is limited by its user, and if you're only human, right, even though you have this stand, you're limited by human perception, which is the big thing, right? Like, again, arguably, like, you can have the most powerful stand in the entire verse, right, which would probably be the world over heaven. You can literally just rewrite reality. But if you still only have human perception, you can arguably just get, again, speed blitzed in one shot by Maidenhead. Not saying that would happen in the verse, but it is a possibility and something to think about, right? Because you are inherently limited by that human perception. So what Epitaph does is directly cover down on that by allowing you to see into the future. You're not limited by that human perception. In fact, you have elevated perception greater than that of even non-humans, right? Because what you see is practically fate, and bar a handful of stands, they can't really impact, interact, or change with that. I mean, that's why, again, I made the time stop versus time skip video, right? Because besides going over how they interact, I wanted to make the point that, again, it seems like a lot of people view, or have the perception, ironically enough, that time skip is just an inferior version of time stop, or a worse version of it, which also partially comes from people power scaling characters based on how much they like them rather than how strong they actually are. But the big thing and point I made was that time erasure itself is an inherently superior ability because of Epitaph, right? Okay, you can stop time, which is in and of itself a very strong power. We see multiple times, specifically with Dio, even Jojo to an extent, both of them, as they have that ability, they sometimes get caught off guard, right? Epitaph in time erasure is literally a counter to that. We never see Diavolo get caught off guard ever because he can just see. Literally, it is a pretty much brain dead ability. You look into the future, right? If there's a moment where either you die or take damage, or you potentially hurt or kill someone, just erase that and you just cement or alter that fate. I mean, this is getting more now King Crimson as a whole, but the point being, Epitaph is what enables that, right? So again, it's something to where, again, the big thing is that, that, like, more than arguably pretty much any other ability, it would be interesting to see how that would work with Bice the Dust. Going back in time there, that would be very interesting. Seemingly, it would just, you would see the event, right, and you would probably just skip over it, right, or erase it if you could, assuming you have King Crimson, right. Arguably, that would even be the case with Time Stop. What I was kind of saying in that video is that if you look into the future, something happens at some time, you don't know what it is, you just skip it anyway. But again, back to the point with Epitaph, right? And what makes that strong, and kind of, I guess I pretty much said everything I wanted to, so I guess we can just conclude here. But again, the point being, again, I think it's very much, slept on, right? Granted, King Crimson is probably my favorite stand, but Diva will be one of my favorite characters, but it is something to where, again, I just wanted to make this video as kind of supplementary to that first video I made, but also talk about, again, like if I had to pick one ability to have in real life, right, it'd probably be that. But again, it's something to where it's at least for like combat in that sense, right? Again, now, let's put it this way: as a combat, um, for combat, right, and within that context, having that enhanced perception is, again, very powerful. And again, once you have it, right, it'd be very hard to go back to not having it. But again, which the overall point being that, again, it's something that should not be slept on. And again, because of that, is extremely powerful in its own right due to the nature of it, as I talked about. But with that, don't really have anything else to say. So, yep. So for this one, see you in the next one.